Okay, I get that it's a little strange to cover the first two episodes of the show the way that I'm doing since they didn't come out at the same time like WandaVision did, but I kind of missed the boat last week. That Superman video that I put out, go watch that Superman video by the way if you haven't. It took a lot out of me and it made me not want to make any videos for a while. So I took a little break, but we're going to talk about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, both episodes. So spoilers incoming for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier if you have not seen episodes 1 and 2 yet. Do not watch the rest of this video. All right, so first things first, it was really cool seeing Falcon just doing his thing. It had a cold open the same way that Captain America: The Winter Soldier did. Which, if I want anything out of this show, it's the same vibe that I got from the Winter Soldier movie and the Civil War movie. I want those two things to be replicated here as best as possible because I love those movies to death. I think they're the perfect balance of political and sci-fi when it comes to like a Captain America type story because I'm gonna say this right at the beginning. If you think that a compelling Captain America story can be told in the 21st century without some type of politics, I want to live in the world you live in. That I want that more than anything else. I want to live in that world. Point is though, it was cool with that cold open that we got from Falcon. This show clearly has a huge budget. It's very that whole sequence was very cinematic. The CGI was clean. Everything was very good. Although it's funny because they brought back Batroc the Leaper from the Winter Soldier movie, and he was played by George St. Pierre, one of the greatest, one of the sweetest, kindest MMA fighters of all time, probably the greatest welterweight of all time. And the caption says George instead of Batroc. It's like, is he playing himself? Is George St. Pierre the actual villain of this particular part of the story? I don't know. I really don't know. But all that stuff was cool. I really appreciate this episode taking its time and showing how the blip has affected people on the ground level because there's still the MCU has tried. We've had Endgame, Far From Home, uh, WandaVision. We've had multiple things that are set after Thanos did what he did, but we still don't know how it has affected the world on the lowest level, on the street level, on the the people in poverty type of level, the people in NOLA trying to make ends meet level. And even with people coming back, we still don't know how all of that is affecting people. So I really appreciate the show taking the time, slowing down, and showing us all that stuff. The most interesting thing with that, well, there's two really interesting things with that. I want to start with Bucky, um, because obviously the show is called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so it's but Bucky's not quite the main focus of the show because Bucky isn't the guy that got left with the shield, that sort of thing, which is totally fine. I wish people would stop complaining about that, but we'll see what happens. Bucky has been getting therapy for everything that he's been through, which is interesting because I thought that they just cleared his mind in Wakanda and he was totally fine. That's how at least it seemed uh, from the Black Panther movie that they fixed him because he said, "Hey, I don't want to get unfrozen until they fix what's going on in my head," and he's unfrozen by the time Black Panther takes place. So it's interesting to see that he's still dealing with nightmares and guilt and PTSD from all of this stuff. Because if you remember in Civil War, he remembers everybody that he killed, and so you have him hanging out with this sweet Japanese man uh, in Brooklyn, which is it's cool that he moved back to Brooklyn. He's also got a presidential pardon. He's got a whole list of people he's supposed to be making amends with. They're like atoning for his sins, which that's a really neat concept. But you find out that he killed this man's son on a mission. And I was wondering, I was like, why is he hanging out with this old guy? And then he starts getting emotional over memories of his son, and the way Bucky's looking, I'm just like, oh man, he killed him, didn't he? And I didn't even connect because I think there was a flashback earlier in the episode where he does kill a Japanese man, but my brain doesn't, two Japanese men related. I just didn't make that connection at first. But I totally get it now. And then what's his name, Sam side of things, he goes to his hometown of Nola, which that has to be Anthony Mackie injecting personality into the Sam Wilson character, right? I get the feeling that Sebastian and uh and Anthony were just able to put whatever they wanted into their versions of the character at this point in time because they're kind of blank slates without Steve attached to them. So Sam has a whole family in New Orleans. He goes and visits his sister has been left in charge of you know, the crawfish business, and they're struggling. So they try to get a loan. Turns out Sam doesn't have any credit for the last 5 years because he was, you know, a little bit dead. He was dead. You know, most people were dead. Well, not most people. Half of everybody was dead, and he was in that half. And so you're watching this sequence, and the guy, the banker is trying to, you know, play off like, well, you know, this is just standard. We don't have blah 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 blah. But there's definitely they're black. The whole point, because people were very upset on Twitter. It's like, well, Batman saw that Superman's mom was struggling and he bought the bank, and Tony couldn't have chipped Sam a little bit of money. First of all, Sam was an international fugitive for 2 years. Second, Tony didn't even give Peter money. Why would he have given? And then the last thing is that you're missing the point. The point is that the system is set against black people in these situations. That is the whole point of that scene. It's simple. All you have to do is pay attention. But I really appreciate episode 1 for taking the time that it did to show us how things work in Sam and Bucky's heads, because that's my favorite thing about the Russos. I just want to say, this show feels like a slice of the Russos. You know what I mean? Like, Anthony and Joe are all over it. every bit of flavor that they brought to the Winter Soldier movie and the Civil War movie, it's all here. What's happening in my brain? Oh yeah, out of all the Marvel Disney all the, out of all the Marvel Disney Plus shows that have been announced, this one and Moon Knight were the ones that were the most interesting to me. Because with WandaVision, I was pretty sure that that show didn't really have longevity in its premise. Loki, I feel a similar way. I feel like whatever's going on is going to get solved pretty handily on that show. But the Falcon and the Winter Soldier has potential to go on for a few seasons like Mando, especially if they keep it short with just the 6-episode seasons. I really respect that approach. And Moon Knight is just a character that not enough people know about. So I'm happy that he's getting his own show. I'll probably watch Miss Marvel and She-Hulk. I don't really care as much though. But episode 2, let's get started. Oh yeah, at the end of episode 1, I missed the Sam gave up the shield that Steve left for him because he did not feel that he was the right choice. He didn't think that he could live up to the legacy that Steve had left behind. So he's like, it's best to just retire the mantle since I'm not the right person to try to continue it. And the government was like, cool, but we need a Captain America. So here's John Walker. And there were a lot of memes going around after he showed up at the end of the last episode that he was some sort of racist. He's like I just don't see why it can't be all lives matter memes like that. Which I'm like, I get it, but the U.S. agent isn't racist, you know. Also, they're not calling him the U.S. agent on the show. They're just straight up calling him Captain America. So we'll see where that goes. Captain America did dress, because he's not. If you look up a picture of the U.S. agent, I might do it in the editing of this video. I might not edit this video at all. If you look up what U.S. agent looks like, and then you look at what John Walker is wearing in the show, it's not the same costume, but it's very. You can, if you're familiar with the U.S. agent, then you know what the suit is based on. But it's still like, hey, this is a purely political optics move by the U.S. government. We have a new Captain America. We have a new face. We can sell merch. We can have him, you know, show up on these very specific missions. He can be seen doing these things and those things, and boom, we have a new icon, that sort of thing. I mean, he even shows up at a football game in the 2nd episode, which I don't really know what the point of that football game was. They give an interview with him, right? But I just don't see why that interview couldn't have been conducted somewhere else. It seems like it was for the trailer more than anything else. Because when I saw the trailer and I saw that bit, I was compelled to believe that he had his own football team in the NFL. That doesn't seem to be the case. I don't know. Because it's like, well, you can't just add one team to the NFL, right? You need an even number. So they'd have to add a second one. You can add the Captain Americas and the Tony Starks. 34 teams. Point is, though, I actually kind of like John. I'm curious to see what they do with him. He doesn't seem to be racist. His friend is black. Anyway. he doesn't seem like a bad guy either. He does seem like an honest, earnest kind of guy. He's just like, hey, they gave me this job. I'm just trying to do it the best that I can. And there's a lot of understandable, palpable, tangible tension between him and Sam and Bucky. And Bucky's mad at Sam because like he shouldn't have given up the shield. And as the episode goes on, you find out that the reason that he's so upset with Sam is like he believed in you, he trusted you, and maybe he was wrong about you. And if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me. He shouldn't have believed in me either. And that's pretty cool. I like that because I was wondering if Bucky was gonna be salty or feel shafted that he wasn't given the shield, but I feel like now that we've seen this, he understands why Steve made the decision that he made. Um, Bucky even now isn't mentally ready for that sort of thing. But let's talk about the biggest thing that happens in this episode. Isaiah Bradley. If you don't know about Isaiah Bradley, I believe in the comics he's called the Patriot. Uh, in the comic lore, before they tested or before they ran the super soldier program on Steve, they wanted to make sure that the serum worked. So they tested it on a black man who they saw as, more expendable. That black man was Isaiah Bradley. And it looks like in the MCU lore he came after. But he ran into Bucky in the 50s and kicked his ass apparently. That's pretty damn cool. But now there's implications that are pretty big because there's a black super soldier from the 50s or maybe even from the 40s. He's pretty old, but he's clearly had his age mitigated by the super soldier serum. He could be like 80, no, he'd be like 90 to 100 something right now. I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure. But it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with that because that wouldn't look good for the U.S. government, especially considering that they've kept him a secret for so long, and even Hydra kept it a secret. Because here's my thing, right? I'm curious as to how this fits into Winter Soldier and Civil War because in Winter Soldier, I believe Natasha pretty much leaked all of Shield's secrets, and in Civil War, Zemo learned all of Hydra's secrets. But Shield is Hydra. So are there secrets from Hydra that didn't get leaked when Natasha leaked everything? That's what I want to know. Because I mean, there was clearly stuff that was kept away because Tony still didn't know what happened to his parents until Civil War. So I would like to know. There's only 4 episodes left. Do I think they're going to get to everything that I wonder in time? Absolutely not. But the show is probably going to have multiple seasons. I don't see why it wouldn't. Um, the dynamic between Sam and Bucky is great. They're bickering. That's what everybody wanted to see. They getting along is a struggle for them. They don't really do that sort of thing. Um, and overall, I loved the bit at the end where it's like well we have to talk to him. I was like him, Helmet Zemo, him, and then it's like yeah we're gonna go talk to Zemo. I kind of wish they didn't say his name or show him in this episode. That way, I would have felt a little bit smarter for having figured out they were talking about Zemo. But that's okay. We'll get through this together, me and you. We got this. But overall, I'm loving Falcon and the Winter Soldier so far. I think this is shaping up to be better than WandaVision. Not that they're directly comparable because they're different types of stories, but I think that it's going to be easier for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to stick its landing because it doesn't have to deal with the same level of the internet that WandaVision had to deal with. It's not going to have people being like, "Oh, is this how they're going to introduce the fucking Fantastic Four?" Stuff like that. WandaVision was very shafted by the internet and the fan base for some self-inflicted reasons and some not so self-inflicted reasons. But I don't see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier going down that type of path. So I feel like it's going to be much easier to bring this story to a close than it is or than it was for WandaVision. Also, didn't even mention there's enemy super soldiers out there. So that's why they need to talk to Zemo in the first place. They need to know where these super soldiers are coming from. And I'm wondering, does it trace back to Civil War? Did you know did the Siberia lab get found? Did people figure out how to replicate super soldiers here? Also, the Flag Masters I don't find very interesting at all. At least not so far. I really hope they do something cool with them in the future because I don't know, I'm impressed. But Falcon Soldier, have you watching it? If you have, then what do you think about it so far? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think Mandalorian's better? What is what everything comment below and educate me. And as always, if you want more videos from me, go ahead and click. So, I'll see you next time.